Hello everyone and welcome to this week's game log, and this week I have been working this week I've been doing the server stuff, and when I say this week I mean this month, because actually it's been a month since I did the last video, because this server messaging stuff has been such a pain. It's taken so much longer than I expected. I've had to add 35 new classes. I've just been working so hard on it and there's been so many troubles with it. It's been unbelievable, but I have finally got all of those 35 classes working in absolute harmony, and it's finally working, and I'm just cleaning it up now, and I will then be able to get on to my next update. But yeah, it's been a absolute pain. Working with UDP messages is so much trickier than I expected. I spend 99% of my time programming scenarios that will happen 1% of the time, because UDP is just so unreliable. You have to always program for the worst case scenario, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it would be an absolute disaster if you're not prepared for it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I've got lots to show for it, which is great. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. So firstly, and probably most importantly in multiplayer, is of course having multiple players. And so I've got myself logged in on another laptop, and that is me there, that little green fellow, and you can see that the play movement is now fully supported in multiplayer. The animation is working and the movement is fairly smooth, considering that I'm only updating the client with the server 10 times a second. So if you imagine a game running at 10 FPS, that is how jerky his movement would be if I didn't do a lot of extra stuff on the client side of things. So the client basically fills in the gaps or guesses between messages from the server, and then when it gets the actual message telling it where the other player should be, it kind of corrects it, and it ends up looking fairly smooth. I still need to tweak these algorithms a bit, especially when I do the fast movement like this. You can see it went back a bit at the end, straining it a bit, but yeah, that is mostly working. So secondly, you've already seen him today. It's our first ever NPC. It's this bird-like creature which is making his way towards us now, and I know he's not much of a looker yet, and his AI is obviously not stunning, but that's not the point at the moment. I'm not working on NPCs right now, and I won't be for a while, and I'm definitely not working on models, as you can see by his face, but I am working on the server client interaction, and this was just a test to demonstrate that I have support for entities that are completely controlled by the server. So this is an example of an entity whose position is determined by the server, and then the server broadcasts the position of this entity to all of the nearby clients, all of the clients within a certain range, and this range is actually determined by the client. So yeah, obviously in the future there will be full support for NPCs already in there, and I won't have to go back and work with the server again. So yeah, that was the aim of this little guy. Another quick update that I made this week was to get the server to now control the time of day that it is, which means that it's the same time of day now for all of the players playing the game, which was obviously pretty important to do. And yeah, at the moment it just controls the time, but in the future I could expand this to also control like what kind of weather it is each day, like whether it's really foggy and dark, or like another day could be really bright and clear, and the server could control all this, and then we'd have like a little weather system going on. And yeah, that would be nice, and I could do that sometime in the future, but I don't really have any plans to do that quite yet. And finally, one last thing that I have to show you. Not all entities need to synchronize with the server constantly. Like the moving entities have to synchronize their position and the rotation with the server as often as possible, and in this case I've made it 10 times a second. But for things like this tree, which has actually two states, every 10 seconds the server changes its state to either being a full tree or a cut down tree like this. And that is probably the best textured model I've ever made. that's not the point. Yeah, this just sends a message every time it changes state, which is about once every 10 seconds, and that was tricky in UDP because the messages are unreliable, so I had to set up a whole confirmation system and stuff. It also will send a message telling us of its current state when we come into range of it, because while we're out of range we won't get updates from it and we'll have no idea what state it is. So when the client goes into the range of the tree, like this, we're in range there, then it requests that the tree sends us its current state, and in this case its current state was a full tree, and then it just was about to change to a cut down tree. So yeah, state changes. And that is it for this week. That's the whole multiplayer thing done and dusted, and I really hope I can put that away now and not have to look at it for a long time, because it was really horrible to do. But for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be working on something a bit more enjoyable. I'm going to be working on the animation system. I need to add a few more features to it, and I also need to write a parser for animations so that I can make them in Blender and then load them directly into the game, which will allow me to make a lot better animations a lot faster. But yeah, if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing during the week, then you can follow Thin Matrix on Twitter, and there will be a load of extra exclusive videos and pictures and updates on what I'm working on during the week. But as usual, thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a comment or any suggestions below, and yeah, I will see you next time.